Hey, what's happening out there in podcast land all over the world, wherever you're listening to this, maybe by yourself, maybe in your car, maybe at your desktop, I don't know. Maybe you're listening to this 5 years from now. What the hell's going on? This is G-Man. It's What's the Matter podcast, sponsored by World Matters Incorporated. Created and produced by Big Bongo Productions. And we got some, people we work with, shout outs, Active Life Integrated Health, Skin Tuition, Souls Better, Dispenser. Those guys are cool. Ed Alexander, love that guy. And of course, we are housed right here. And one of our, sponsors, the people that furnish this place, of course, is World Matters Incorporated. DBA is American Matters Media, the longstanding flagship. If you are here in the Reno area, 93.7 FM, as you're driving around or on your radio dial, tune in. They got some great shows, Morning Time with Being Blunt with Jay Biggs, American Roundup with Shannon, of course, the founder, Eddie Floyd, and all the crew around here. A lot of cool stuff. So, as a lot of people know, we are helping them get into the 21st century and have a little podcast going here. And Kel just came in, and it's been a while since she's been kind of like this. This is like a last minute thing. But we have Miss Adryenn Ashley in the studio today. Super excited to be able to get her going. Yeah, how you doing? Well, I think you were in episode 4. We were talking about.
I know. I'm already seeing the massive improvement. Your talent is just skyrocketing. Like that opening.
What?
Yeah, you look like you've been doing it for a decade.
Yeah, 27 episodes or something like that now.
No, you got it down. I'm very impressed. And this is what I always tell people. And they're like, I want to start a podcast. I'm like, then just start. They're like, it's no good. I go, it will be.
That's what you said. I was, it's kind of like, and these are the things that we're going to be talking about today, episode 28. What's the matter with authors?
Yeah.
And, specifically, are you one? And you just don't know what to do, or you're scared, you're letting fear, kind of control you, all these different things we're going to talk about. But let's see, rounding off some things here. I think I've kind of covered things. And Adryenn, just to remind you, there we go. The fun part, the first 4 that we were doing, the last time that you were here, you told me, lose the time constraints, here into the outline, you little... I don't even want to say the words.
Well, my whole point was the beauty of podcasting is that you do not have a radio clock where you have to stop at a certain time and put in your commercials. You can stop more naturally, or you can just never stop, which literally is one of the, in a podcast, what's so funny is I see these people, they break for their sponsors and then they do their sponsor thing. And it really feels interruptive, which is an odd thing because, we dealt with that on the radio for so long in commercials.
Yeah.
But with these podcasts, I sit down and I talk for 12 hours straight.
Yeah.
We're used to Clubhouse where we don't have commercial breaks. And so we've got this whole social audio thing going, and podcasting is a lot like that. And people are just like, yeah, I just want to keep going. And if the flow is going, the flow is going. And when the flow breaks or you're going to switch, that's a good time to put it in there. And you can always clip it on social so that they get the whole complete thought.
Yeah. And as I was telling her before you arrived, Kel, I do listen to her. I remember thinking back, that, of course, this lady knows what she's talking about. And one thing that I know of experiencing athletics and then subsequently 17 years of coaching athletics and things like that, you never want to lose the interest of your coach. So if they're giving you instruction and then time after time, you're not doing what they say, they're going to say this person doesn't get it. They're not going to be wasting their time. So thank you for untethering us from the constraints of FM radio and stuff like that.
Every 12 minutes.
The show is better, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, the show is much better. But I mean, this is what I have to really get across to everybody, right? The way that things have always been done is not necessarily the way that you have to do them,
or the way they should
be. There's always a better mousetrap. And when you have to think about, mainstream media and how they do things and why they do things, you got to look at those constraints and the bureaucracy and, how many levels of management are there from the founder all the way down to the person who's talking. And does that person even get to say what they want to say, or are they limited to the stories that they're handed and the scripts that they're required to say? So it's not a freeing experience. And I launched my first television show from idea to on national broadcast television in 4 months. and I was completely untethered. Like, we bought the time on purpose, and it was pop. So it was CBS and Lionsgate, and we had no constraints. I could have whatever commercials I want, whatever sponsors I want, whatever topics I want. And we were PG. I mean, it was a mom's show, 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. So obviously we weren't going, the adult route. There was nobody to tell me what to do and what not to do, which was awesome because it allowed us to have like really deep conversations that were so pivotal. We grew 200% week over week with no advertising.
Yeah.
That's the power of podcasting now. When you have the ability to just speak directly into the hearts and minds of your listeners and have a conversation and be real and just brutally transparent and be like, look, this is stuff that's going on. This is what's the matter. And you're not by yourself because a lot of people are feeling it, but nobody's talking. Well, let's talk. Let's have a conversation.
And I love it. I have to admit, I'm having a lot of fun. There's definitely work, and focus. And
Yeah.
I always feel like I could be doing more, as you have challenges with time. I don't have time management challenges. I would just like to accomplish more. That's probably at this stage in life, kind of semi-retired, but I still got shit to do.
Absolutely.
And so I want to take all those proverbial, arrows in my quiver and whatever wisdom that I've gained and surround myself as I'm trying to do here, with the, very successful and intelligent people. And let's have some fun building something while helping other people. So that's a good spin-off into what we're talking about today. So we could talk about podcasts, but we're going to be talking about books.
I love books.
Reading or audio, whatever your jam is, right? That's what I was going to, I told you about the outline. So you have no idea, just like Kel, so you'll know basically what we're going to talk about. But I have a question for each of you to kick this thing off in this segment. So Adryenn, I'm going to get a little life coach kind of spin on Kel. Let me see here. I'm gonna flip it. Because I'm gonna give her kind of like a little life coaching platform.
Okay.
Not that this first one couldn't do it, but obviously, like I said, you're very intelligent, very well spoken.
Multiple award-winning best-selling author.
Been in front of the camera and all that stuff. And so, because we're talking about authors, and I don't want you to get you into your favorite three.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more of a teacher, mentor, type of situation. If anybody, who made you fall in love with words?
With words.
Because words are things, right?
Yeah, words are things. Okay, so
is there anybody that you can think of? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So one thing you probably don't know about me, I went to Dominican college. So I dropped out of high school. I went to College Marin, dropped out of College Marin, went to Santa Rosa Junior College, dropped out of Santa Rosa Junior College, joined the Army, came home, and I was at the Marin County Fair with my mom. I was 22 years old. I think I was 22. Was I 22? 21, almost 22? 24? Somewhere around there. No, 24. Dominican College had a booth at the fair with the nuns. And I'm Irish, so like my grandmother was Catholic, with the nuns, right?
With the nuns or some nuns?
Some nuns.
Okay.
And so they had this brand new program that they literally launched the week before, where if you had a high school diploma and you were over the age of 24 or 20, something like that. I mean, I was just that age, or about to be, right? You could sign up and they gave you full financial aid and scholarships. No SATs required. No, your application was one page. You could literally fill it out there at the fair and you were in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at my mom and she goes, God wants you to go to college.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine. So I did. And it was absolutely transformative. Sister Samuel.
That's your person?
Sister Samuel,
Okay.
she had to relax her standards. She was the former president of the college too. She was the kind of nun, when you get these university nuns, they're nuns because back when they were kids and back when they were young women, you did not get to pursue an education unless you were a nun. You got married and had kids. That was your place.
Sister Samuel, is that her last name?
No, that's her first. They take on names of biblical characters.
Interesting.
And Sister Aquinas was my other favorite. She was my genetics teacher. She was awesome. So I had the nuns at Dominican College, but the first year we had to read all these books, and during that literature course, I first experienced Maya Angelou. And I don't think I'd ever read, and keep in mind, I'm well read, but my mom actually got me into book reading with smutty romance novels, and I could just plow through a Joanna Lindsay in a day. So it was the first time that I'd ever read something where you had a visceral reaction to it. Like
Gotcha.
the power, it just so moved you,
Yeah.
right? And so I started really getting into reading, and that was the thing that unlocked my curiosity. And then I became a voracious reader. I mean, I read probably 50 books a year. I probably still do. I'm
And
I'm a nerd.
this was also back in the day where only 3 TV channels, no
Right.
internet.
Oh yeah,
Thank
right.
goodness,
I was the same way.
right? You know,
And
we have
then
to appreciate.
and then Peter O'Donnell, he wrote Modesty Blaze. And the reason that was so transformative to me was I was working on the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I fell off a truck, busted my ankle, was in a cast for 18 months, couldn't walk for 6 years. And she's like this James Bond type, but a woman, but she's a baddie, but she's actually good, and she's good to the UK. All this other stuff, but the books were just so immersive. And that book and that whole book series kind of got me through the transition into being a handicapped, disabled person. Now I look fine. That's because I manage my steps. I only get like 4,000 a day, or the next day I'm not walking. So I look totally normal. You would not know better unless you saw me one of the 3 or 4 days a year that I actually fall down.
So between the two, Sister Samuel or your mom, one introduced you, obviously, but did you fall in love with it because of the influence of your mom after Sister Samuel, you're saying?
No.
Who's the person that you pin it on?
I pin it on the authors themselves,
Well, that wasn't the question.
No, but you said what were the,
Well, I
the
guess it
3
could be.
books, right?
It was
the 3 authors that really were
I see what you did there. You dovetailed. You already knew that I wanted you to have 3 favorite authors, so you dovetailed.
I dovetailed, but then so Peter O'Donnell, he wrote this book series, and then he was getting older and he wanted to make sure that no one else wrote the end. And so he wrote 4-pack of short stories as a final book that was set, years and years and decades in the future. And he wrote her demise. And I mean, to this day, I'm still tearing up. Like, this character in this book, I felt such a connection to, and I felt like she was part of my life, my friend, my mentor, my everything. And then, and she died. And I mean, I grieved so heavily. And I was like, this is what people don't understand about books. And these were fictional books. And I have some nonfiction books. I mean, I would definitely say Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Work Week, one of my very, very favorites, and, a friend. So I love that. And I love the nonfiction genre because you can actually get that same visceral impact if you do it right that you can get from those fictional books.
Yeah. And
I've had that same exact experience. I used to get sad towards the end of a book because they were my friends, especially in series by authors where the same mains would come in and out. I've so had that experience.
Right? And years later, I can literally give you like detailed reciting of what happened when, like, as if I was there. And that's the beauty of the book, is that it enmeshes you. It just immerses you into this different world. But I'm also like the super nerd who really loves libraries, and when I lived in California, would take my 4 days a year at Stanford Library because I was a member of the public and a California resident. So you can go play in the library, and I did. I also go around the world, and not only do I like old historic churches for the architecture, and there's just some spirit there, and I'm not even a religious person, but you just feel the spirit. But it's the same way when I find those, Gothic bookstores and that are dusty, and they've got these, old used books, and you dig up, a first edition of Alice in Wonderland or something. Like, I mean, I am that level of nerd.
All right, Kel, let's put your life coach hat on. Now, first of all, like, we're talking, of course, how I think many people feel like I've got a book in me. I just don't know how to go about it. So first, have you written a book yet? Have you started the process or anything like that?
We'll rip it out of you. We'll do it. Oh, we could do it live on the air.
That would be fun.
We should. Okay.
People have said my whole life, you should write a book. And I'm like, who the hell?
That's the question I have for you. That's it right there. Why write a book?
clue. First of all, people don't read anymore, so there's really no point.
You can have audiobooks and stuff like that. You're actually kind of illustrating right now how sometimes people come up with excuses that really don't have to be there and putting obstacles and hurdles.
I have no interest.
Well, now that's an honest answer.
It's too much work for nothing.
It's actually not.
I started to say that's what we're here for.
It's not. Can I have my way with her?
No.
Okay.
No. Because although we don't have time constraints now, we do somewhat have time constraints, and I want to get to some other stuff.
We'll talk.
Well, yeah.
No,
but this is what I know.
minutes.
This is what you're here for.
Okay.
Just wait for me to give you the stage to answer that question.
You know,
it may
practicing
be an
patience.
hour. It might,
practicing patience.
It may be an hour.
I know
from
that
now.
is my lesson this time around is practicing patience, but I have not mastered that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it.
Me neither. And I don't care.
And I'm really
hurry up.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time because when the thought comes to me, half the time
it's ADHD.
It is right.
Yeah.
ADHD. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Half the time it is a gift from the universe to be delivered through me, but it is not mine, and I don't have possession of it. And if I don't get it out and give it to the person and gift it to that person, then it's gone when you circle back to it. Which is why I like, the random
interruptive conversations.
I've heard this before. So we all have things we can work on. But that's the one
gift
right
that
there.
the universe was just about to give to her. It's
you're
gone.
going to have to trust me that I can bring it back.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
Have your way with me.
Yeah.
I will.
That's
I
the key
will.
phrase.
I will have my way with you.
Okay. Now, so you said your favorite authors,
Yeah.
and I've got my 3 favorites that I'm going to hit on last. But Kel, now you don't want to write a book. Okay.
She does. She just doesn't know it.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, that's what I got together here is like, for people that are like literally like you turn into our avatar right in front of our eyes, so not maybe at least thinking about, maybe. And if you did become so resigned that you wanted to write a book or feel like it, then you have all the tools at your disposal and an excellent consultant to your left.
Yes.
Of course. All right. So what are your 3, what's your, let's go backwards. What's your 3rd favorite author of all time?
Wow.
What?
It's been a long time since
I've
had time to sit and consume a whole book.
Uh-huh.
And the genres that I used to be rabid about, I can't read anymore.
Like what?
Serial killer, thriller, murder, mystery, medical,
read that
legal
love
shit.
those.
What is
Not
wrong
fiction.
with you?
I
Not
love
fiction.
those.
I can bust it in 5 minutes. I know exactly what's going on the minute I open the book. It's
So
too serial.
So
It's
you need true crime.
I need true. True crime I will read.
Yeah.
But that is more storytelling than authorship.
So 3, that number 3, we're just going to
Patterson, Baldacci, that was my,
James Patterson as a ghostwriter, though.
He's almost dead, for God's sake. He's been co-authoring just to keep his name there because he doesn't do shit anymore.
He's technically almost a ghost writer now.
Right, literally.
Okay, what's number
else?
2? What's number 2?
To me, they're all the same. Like that whole Scarpetta and like any of them, male, female, all of them. To me, that whole genre, I can lump them all together. They're all just as good as each other. I like them all interchangeably.
What about Shakespeare?
Michael Crichton.
No. Crichton. Love Crichton.
Socrates.
No,
Greek
I don't
shit?
like. I have been so immersed in esoterica over the last couple of years and have gotten so fed up with it.
Tell our listening audience what that is.
Over.
What
Esoterica is the witchy woo, the spiritual shit.
Okay.
Everything from Hermeticism to ancient Egypt to Greek gods and all that shit.
Okay.
I have been immersed in that rabbit hole so deep
I know.
for the last
I like
3 years,
the Nordic
and I have figured out it's all bullshit.
Oh, like cut to the chase.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm really. I've got a lot of spiritual ick right now.
A lot of spiritual.
That whole community.
That's a book right there.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Because keep in mind,
she has a lot of journeys. Both you ladies do.
Oh, I know.
Jeez.
I know. That's why we're friends. So, the escape from esoterica is actually a book that you could write in 2 hours because you have escaped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're frustrated.
I didn't think about like
Did you just come up with a title, or is there a book already?
No, I
called
just
Esoteric?
I said escape from esoterica.
I love it.
Because here's the thing. When people are enmeshed, so I remember I spent 10 years on the motivational speaking circuit. So I've spoken with all of the top people in that esoterica genre. I know all of them personally. And, one of the things is, it all started with The Secret. Okay. So it's kind of like the Secret and.
Well, it really started with Seth and the raw material. way with Jane Roberts and
Yeah.
So The Secret was a cool read.
as far as the zeitgeist goes, it was The Secret.
It was The Secret that took it mainstream and made it, not mommy porn, not book talk, but the equivalent, but in the spiritual realm rather than the naughty realm. And so
spiritual porn.
Spiritual porn, that's exactly what it is, right?
Yes.
And so when you think about it, right, what are all of these things? They're all escapism. So
mental masturbation.
It's mental masturbation. It is yet just another thing. Now, what's so funny is there are people who do The Secret, they do the work, they do the things, and they talk it, and they talk a really good game. But when you watch how they behave, if you just boil down all of the actions rather than all of the beliefs, then you actually have a format that you can manifest, right? But when you're inundating people, like I did Attraction and Action, right? And that's based. So The Secret is literally chapter 19 of Charles Hennell's book, The Master Keys, right? And it's one chapter, which is why it doesn't work for people, because it's one
because
out of 32 chapters.
So much of the information,
and right?
I mean, this is science. This is not sit on your couch and wish.
Money comes easily and frequently. Like that doesn't work. And so, escape from esoterica would be
Do it, Kel. You were born here.
I didn't.
No,
you're going to be woven through the whole thing.
Yeah, she's going to talk about stories.
So this is the whole thing. Is it's got stories is what sells. Yeah. Stories and that emotional impact of that is what sells, right? So I have a book, and I'm going around to all of my famous celebrity friends, and I'm talking to them about challenges that they've had that have been devastating, earth-shattering, that they have had to keep quiet, keep on a brave face, keep that mask on, not look like anything has gone wrong, right? And then I'm rewriting their stories in that Maya Angelou esoteric storytelling, very rich,
sort of modern mythology type.
It's just very rich language where you become immersed and you feel. And by the end of the chapter, and it's a chapter book, so every chapter is a different story. But every single one of those, it's this is something that happened to somebody famous, had to deal with this.
Somebody we all know.
All millions of you have to deal with this. Nobody is talking about it. And so I get these celebrity stories. I don't name them. They're all anonymous.
Interesting.
But they're all known celebrities. And how did they keep their shit together?
Are there any details where you could sort of elicit who they might be if you're intuitive?
I mean, maybe some really serious investigative journalists might be able to tie together, a bankruptcy and a divorce and,
Oh, I thought meant maybe the description of what they do or
no.
It doesn't get that granular.
Oh, no. I could read you some of it if you want. But
No,
but okay. But here was my thing about your book. We're going to have a special edition. We're going to have a special edition because it's going to take probably about 3 hours.
Okay.
And I can rip a book out of you.
All right.
See?
That would be done in 3 hours.
So we're obviously going to have a follow-up to this.
Okay.
And that's what, here's the thing too. So as we've talked before in our listening audience, so who knows where this podcast is going to go? We're having fun. Seems like people like it. Of course, now we have direction. Adryenn, I haven't told Cal, but we're going to, if you're still up to it, use the show as a guinea pig. And all we have to do is do what she says. You
just have to do what I say. And I know.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I have no doubt that I can get Kel to do whatever I tell her to do because she knows it comes from a place of love and I know what I'm saying. And you are actually really good because I beat you up and you then process it. Because I'm brutal. I give it to you straight without the sugarcoating because, you were a coach, you were in sports and you seem to respond the best that way.
She's still nicer than my football coaches were for any coach.
He comes up with these ideas and I say, absolutely not. No, here's why. And then I hit him over the head with it and he looks at me like.
He's good with the here's why. As long as you.
I always why. But he gives me this look like I was really, liking this idea. And I'm like, that's not going to make you any money. Here's why this is going to absolutely fail and waste your time.
30 whole minutes coming up with this idea.
Right. And then I pivot it and I go, do it this way. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Not right away. Usually the next day. He's a 24-hour process.
Yeah.
It's got to sink in, and then it's got to integrate, and then he's got to fact check it, and then he's got to look like he has.
I think about what you say. But sometimes it's just in the in the moment, it's just a
Oh, he pushes
shock
back
to the
hard.
system. Yeah.
And I'm like, go ahead, challenge me. I'm
Yeah.
autistic.
Yeah.
It does not affect me personally. I
Pat
tell him
McGraw.
that all the time. I'm like, push back all you like. I'm just going to keep telling you it's stupid.
Now again, this is pretty good. So I'm going to get to my 3 favorite authors. Okay. So now, do you guys want me to go number 1, number 3, or backwards?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Okay. So
I like a climax.
we were talking about technology last time, and somehow you guys were talking about like
somehow we
dick
got off
pics
on
or
that.
something.
we ended up talking about vibrators.
Oh, that's right.
It's
DMs and all
it's
that
me.
stuff.
It's always going to go there.
That's all right. I like that.
And I'll always
Yeah.
go with you.
You
You will. I know.
Too, ladies. I mean, I like laughing. That's
There we
so,
go.
So it's all
Always.
good. So I was telling her I had to remind her because she was going to have a prominent local person who's running for mayor come in. I was just like, oh, like no politics, no religion. She's like, oh, I forgot about that part. So that's why she's here. So I just thought that I
we
would
could have
kind
them
of,
on to
as
talk
far
about
as the
something else.
well, as far as the laughing cricket section, I'm not going to have recorded anything like that. But the reason we don't talk about religion or politics, is the only time that I want to talk about politics is when I'm making fun of them.
Well, I can do that. I have a
pointing out the
whole
absurd.
laundry list of
Yeah.
things that we can make fun of.
Okay.
Okay.
So Dr. Seuss, no, I'm just to remind you, I'm on my top 3 now.
I love
you guys
Dr.
have your
Seuss.
turn.
Charles Schultz.
Yeah.
Charles Schultz.
That has to be one of my first.
Well, I'm
to
close.
first.
My number 3 is Dr. Seuss.
Yep.
Because again, it's just somebody that I grew up with, and the whole rhyming thing, it seemed like, to your point, and it just like, I just loved it. And of course, I was a kid and stuff like that. And of course, we, as adults, we find out what his lifetime is. Fantastic journey that this guy has. So Dr. Seuss.
And it's entertaining, and it makes the kids want to read, and then it makes them remember the next word better.
It's education.
Yeah.
It's edutainment.
Edutainment. It was edutainment before
The
that
original.
was a word.
The original.
Yeah.
Highlights. Remember Highlights magazine?
Oh,
Loved Highlights magazine.
yes.
Goofus and Gallant.
I only got to see highlights in the doctor's office.
Oh, my mother subscribed for me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
She was a teacher.
what I did, and kind of, for the laughing crickets little thing that we do, I have number 3, joke about Dr. Seuss.
Right on.
Okay. So here's the riddle. If Dr. Seuss was in a band, what would the name of the band be? The Who.
Yeah.
That's cute. That's cute.
All right. Okay.
Just record that, us doing that.
No,
Oh.
that's his sound effect.
Okay. I was
I have a
like,
bunch
is
of
that
laughs.
literally what I sound like? Because
I
I
have-
mean, I could.
I have a bunch of laughs. I have some of your exes like laughs in here. All right.
That's mine.
And then I have just just a couple of them.
Okay.
Just so anyway, I'll
I like the dad joke. That was cute.
okay. Now number 2 was going to be Tony Robbins, your friend, one of my
Yes.
favorite authors. Okay, so this I found him, of course, in the 90s, and Personal Power, I think, was his
Mhm.
first thing, and so
Stephen
he
Covey's
made
my favorite.
he in a I don't know how to explain his writing style, but it actually was very reflective
Adrenaline rush.
of his speech delivery, his presentation, and stuff like that. So, and then number 1
And
was
I have to show you this first, because when he first started following me, he was following 200 people.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
only following 1,000, and he's still following me.
yeah, I
Oh,
know
cool.
that. That's why I said it, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So number 1, oldie but goodie, because all these other, what these were to me is they were not necessarily, say, the greatest writer in the world or somebody that made me feel as emotional as you, but what they were was they, again, were a springboard, okay, that kind of just made me, I never had that, just mentor when I was young. I had a very simple stepfather, grew up in the Central Valley, Tonka toys, learn how to back up tractors,
Mhm.
ditch banks,
Boy-
all that
boy
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah. And so the only way that I was able to get any semblance of an education was through sports. And so the first one is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow
Mhm.
Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things you guys hit on, what we do often is a mastermind group. I do that all the time.
I have them now, and I
yeah.
read
Yeah.
our whole mastermind of
Yeah.
starting with
I've got a nice
quote
one
of Ma-
that
of
I'll go-
Napoleon.
I tap back into that thing almost like a Bible.
I need to
it's
go
like
back
a
and read it
success.
again.
It's like a success Bible. Just some of the things. It talks about procrastination, all these different, and the antithesis of the whole thing is fascinating in itself. Where the steel guy, right? Challenged him, or basically said, "I want you to spend the next 20 years of your life. I'll set you up all the
Carnegie?
interview,
Carn-
all the inter."
Mm-mm.
I thought it was the other
No,
Carnegie.
it was
Carnegie Mellon.
Carnegie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oil
yeah.
or
Yeah,
Steel
and
Carnegie.
but anyway, it's
Yeah.
a great true story, and then accumulating 20 years of that mastermind group with all the most successful men in the country, and of course, I try to do that still. Today, that thing. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
That is
So,
that is
I mean,
absolutely, that's it. That is the key to success right there, is be the dumbest person in the room.
right. So that's what I do. That's what I did today. I'm the dumbest person in the room, and I don't have any problem admitting that. So hopefully some of the stuff will rub off by osmosis. So let's talk about just how to craft, some of this stuff a little bit. Maybe some barriers that.
Can I give a little pitch first on?
Yeah.
For all of you who were like Kel, who were like, no,
Yeah.
it's too much work. It's too hard. It's too this. It's too that. I guarantee you there's something else in your life that could benefit from you being famous. And a book is a better business card. You could do the most miraculous thing, put out a press release, try and get on all these shows, and it would be very difficult because the vetting process to vet whether or not they want to talk about your event or talk about your this or talk about your that, it is a much more stringent series of hurdles that you have to go through to get approval, to get on TV, to get on the news, to be talked about. Writing a book is the fast path, the golden ticket to the media. And if you write about your expertise or you write about a certain topic, you become that expertise. You become the thought leader in that industry, and you can then start talking about everything. My first book was Every Single Girl's Guide to Her Future Husband's Last Divorce. So what did that do for me? Not only did I talk about divorce, I talked about child support. The stock market took a dump, and the news called me and said, all the boys are freaking out. Can you get a few of your really smart girls together? And can we come and talk to you? Because everybody's panicking. So I called up a few of my girlfriends. We went to my friend's $100 million mansion. We're sitting around. We're talking about why this doesn't mean anything and why it's right.
Right.
Like,
So
right. And we were literally the calm in the storm, and we were the only show that had that. Everybody else was literally the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And I was like, y'all need to modulate your emotions a little bit. Like, you get triggered really easily. And
they want it that way.
And they want it that way, right? And so because the media does. But so this particular news channel was like, we're gonna do the opposite and be the only one doing the opposite. And we actually topped everybody.
So you talked basically.
But my book was a legal and financial guide for second wives to get to their 50-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
So I could talk about law. I could talk about finance. I could talk about taxes. I could talk about contracts. I could talk about the economy.
Right.
I could talk about custody. I could talk about relationships.
I was going to say all before you ever even get to the big topic of relationships.
But like, when I had several that were like the favorites, right? Are you committing financial infidelity, right? And then I had another one, how to keep the romance hot when the economy goes cold.
Yeah. Well,
like,
you're
things
hitting
that people
on,
wouldn't consider related.
They
and
wouldn't
how to put those together in topics that people really want.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're basically
Amazing.
there's a bunch of things. Of course, what's the website? It's slipping my mind where you can go and find the data. It's not We the People. It's what's that? Gosh dang it! It's slipping my head. But as far as like you reframing it, that's the
Data.com? You mean like that? Or
something.
what do you
Something my public. I can't think of it right now. I'll find out. But basically,
answer the public.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought you were on politics. No, you're on Neil Patel, one of the most greatest marketing geniuses of our time.
So what you hit on though is all the things. So you didn't necessarily, you probably anecdotal stories that were interspersed in there and things like that, background stories. But you
it was all
created,
about me. Yeah,
you created a how-to.
I did. It's 254 pages of how to get to your 50-year wedding anniversary.
So how-to, is what you did there. So let's talk about, and again, so I want to, take about 60 seconds. Let's start putting some parameters on here because I have a bunch of about 7 things that I want you to kind of hit on real quick. And to your point about you have to come up with a story, right? Or it has to be a story. You have to have something. Okay, so talk about the first step of these 7. And that is, how do people come up with the idea, that light bulb moment? What's the process, if any?
So the process, I have built an AI agent that helps guide people through this process. As an example, my first book, I turned in the first 500 pages to the editor. She cut 300 pages, handed it back, and said, "Now make it funny."
You told me that story, yeah.
And I was like, "That was my pain and sorrow. That was my," and she's like, "Yeah, that was your trauma. It's out. It's on paper. Bye-bye." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God." So some people, especially in the trauma drama genre, they want to write about their trauma. And it's
Like, right, yeah.
cathartic. Absolutely. Write about your trauma.
But don't live in it.
Desktop publish that fucker. Put it in a hardback, spend the $100 to get it in a really beautiful hardback bound book, and then stick it on the shelf and never revisit it. So that's my philosophy for that.
Kind of a little therapy that
It is a lot of therapy, and it has been transformational for, thousands of women that I know.
So give them some tools to, again, so I have 7 things that I
Okay,
need to
so
go
how
through
do you
here.
find
How
the
do you
idea?
find a good idea?
Okay. The fastest way is look back, over the last month. What is the most common question that people come to you where they're like, darn, I need to know how to do this. I'll just call that person. Like, what are you known for amongst your inner circle in your group, right? What do people ask you? What are you passionate about? Like, do you have something? Like, I just finished a book. I have the MTHFR gene mutation, and I just wrote the book called Manufacturing Crazy. And it is literally how in 1998 they mandated putting synthetic folic acid in all of our foods for the good idea, the good intention, not a good idea, the good intention of reducing neural tube defects. However, that has led to our current mental health crisis, as well as our obesity crisis and autism and all sorts of other things. So I have a passion for that because I have a double whammy MTHFR gene mutation. And people need to understand what that is because it's not common knowledge, but it could change millions and millions of people's lives. So what are you passionate about?
Now, the second thing is, now that they say have an idea.
They have an idea.
Okay, so, and again, I agree. Find something that you're good about, passionate about, something that will resonate from your experience or your expertise.
You also have to be able to talk about the subject.
Well, I'm going to go through 7 of these things.
I know, but you have to be able to talk about the subject ad nauseum for days at a time.
So I'm going to ask, let me tee these up for you. Because I don't know how you're doing this. It's almost like you read my outline.
I didn't read your outline. I don't like to know what the questions are in advance. I like it more organic. That makes it more.
I'm saying though, but I'm like, now she's talking about this. So
it means you got your good questions right because you're.
This is for our listeners, right? To be able to basically listen to this. And again, so I'm going to chide you a little bit.
Yeah.
So if we, in this kind of endeavor that we're trying to accomplish here, are all over the place, it's going to be hard for them to kind of concisely, if the ones that were serious about it.
Show notes are for.
What do you mean? Show notes?
Or just get AI to summarize it.
Well, that's what show notes are.
Yeah.
You should have show notes with every single episode that people can download and then have a little workbook.
No, I don't have enough time for that now.
I can do that. That's a good idea.
So after
that's how you
an
aspiring
SEO. Author, after they have their idea.
Yes.
Okay. What you're articulating is that they have to come up with some sort of, after reading this book, you're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So the reader promise.
Yeah. What's in it for them?
So how would a person, after they get an idea, how do they build it go?
So
their reader promise.
How do they do their reader promise? Well, you're doing it backwards, but that's okay. So you're not doing it in the right order.
What do you mean? Elaborate. Yeah.
Well, the reader promise, once you're done with the book, then you know what you're delivering.
Say that again.
Once you're done with the book, then you know what you're delivering.
That's not equating with me right now.
I know, because your brain works differently than mine, but that means that you're going to get stuck on
the idea.
And how many people are sitting there going, I want to deliver this transformation. Let me put it this way. Let me give you an example of my own self trying to do it your way.
My way? You haven't even heard it yet.
Your way, you just said.
Yeah.
What are the benefits? What are the promises, right? So I started writing.
Reader promise. Yes.
Reader promise.
Yes,
I started writing Minting the Future in 2017.
Okay.
I have written it 11 times.
Draft, redraft.
Because every time I hand it to the editor, everything has changed. By the time they give it back to me, because the industry and blockchain moves so quickly that everything has changed and I have to rewrite everything.
What if you got this 75-year-old person that doesn't have 8 years?
But this is my point.
It doesn't matter. The information's invalid.
No, I'm saying
because I was trying to write a book that would benefit the reader so that they would understand the industry kept changing. It made it impossible. So instead, I am now rewriting it with more like the religion of blockchain that then talks about certain aspects of it. Like when we're discussing tokenomics, there's certain religious principles, right? And you have different sects. So you have the unlimited, where they can just keep minting new ones. You have the capped that are Bitcoin, that are mined. So that's effort, proof of work. And then you have the ones that are capped, but they're proof of stake. So these are different religious sects within the blockchain world. And so I'm doing it.
That's brilliant.
I turned everything around and I'm writing it like the Bible in parables. So I'm telling stories. I'm telling stories of crash and burn. And I'm telling stories of overcoming adversity. And I'm telling the stories of our shared history in this industry, but I'm doing it in a way that reads very much like Maya Angelou.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not a super technical book, because what I need people to understand, especially mainstream, when we're trying to get this mainstream consumer adoption, they have to understand the essence of it. And I think of it like this, right? I've never read the Bible, but when I was homeschooling my kid, I had a homeschool teacher and she would do Bible study with the kids. She brought 3 kids. So there's 4 kids in my kids' class at my house. And she would do Bible study every morning and she would tell it to them in this parable, and she would tell them these cool history stories. And what I found so impactful was that within 2 to 3 weeks, somebody in that classroom would have an experience where that parable, that story, informed them on how to make the right decision and choice in the instant that they needed to make one. And that is how I want to treat blockchain. I want people to recognize when they're up against evil. I want them to be able to see it, smell it, feel it, understand it at a visceral level. This is not legit. This is a scammer. This is a hacker. This is somebody trying to steal my stuff. I need them to understand how to recognize that, and stories is the best way to do it. And so I had to reframe the entire book. And so now, instead of what are the reader benefits, I'm writing all the stories out. And when I'm done, I'll let AI tell me what the reader benefits are. And I'll also get the reader benefits from the early adopters who are going to do it and give me the early reviews. So I'll have 100 reviewers tell me what they got out of the book, because you don't want to release a book until you have those. There's a whole bunch of stuff you want before you do your book launch, because a bestseller campaign, it is very formulaic.
Yeah.
It is.
It's almost like what you're saying
There's
there.
no
Yeah,
accident.
there's a bunch more stuff. I have 5 more things.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
basically, I conclude that after all of that, when I think about how is what you're going to say help somebody that is
Okay,
say
but-
let's much less like versed, like somebody that's a pretty simple person that's sitting in South Carolina somewhere in the sticks saying, I want to write a goddamn book, Mary. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Well, let me
but
tell you.
this lady, she's talking about blockchain and shit. I just want to learn how to write a fucking book.
Well, let me tell you how to write a book, okay?
Wait,
if you if you happen to be somebody out there and you are out in the middle of, Appalachia somewhere and you have access to a tractor, let me just tell you, there is a fantastic book that you can write all about your life in a funny way, and people will buy it repeatedly and you will have a series. Go look up the book Rusty Knuckles and Busted Tractors.
I like the title already.
Busted
See, that's an
Knuckles and Rusty
attention.
Tractors.
That's an attention grabber right there.
On purpose.
That's cute.
And so my husband read me all those books while I was pregnant. It was hilarious. He was reading them to me. I had a C-section. He was reading them to me in the hospital. He's so funny. I mean, it really is talking about life from the perspective of a tractor.
Yeah.
Right. And so what was funny back then, people would ask me, you travel all over. Don't you worry about your husband cheating? I'm like, I got 6 acres and a backhoe. Why would I worry?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I know how to hide a body.
No,
haven't you ever
so
seen,
many ways to hide a body.
Ozark? Okay.
Many ways to make them stop.
Short recap. So you have an idea. As far as the reader promise, you can kind of think about it a little bit.
Okay.
But
no, here's another trick for the reader promise.
Wait, no, I want to move on.
No, but I got to circle back. I got to circle back.
God.
What do you want to talk about on the media? If you're using your book as a better business card, what do you want to talk about? So I come up with this is my expertise. This is the show I want to be on. And magically, it'll create like the best pitch. Well, that pitch is probably a chapter in my book. That's actually how I outline all of the chapters.
Oh my gosh, she did it again. Number 3 is outline. Why don't I just get this shit out? Okay, so I have idea, reader promise, outline, then a draft, then you revise the draft, then you got to get feedback from somebody, and then, as Adryenn did for 11 times, you got to polish the shit up.
Right.
So those are my 7 things.
Yeah.
That I should have just done that in the beginning. I'm never going to make that mistake again.
I told you, okay, I am not the girl you bring questions to. Because if you bring questions, you're going to be, just like you were on the time clock, you are literally going to be in this structure that is going to lose the flow of the natural conversation and miss the magic.
We can't have a conversation. Like if somebody is talking for 10 minutes, we'll lose people.
No.
I don't want to talk for 10 minutes straight. You know what I mean?
I've talked for 12 hours straight
and
it's
cool.
Had
it's interesting.
10,000 people stick and listen the entire time.
Here's what my goal is like after today, again, I'm not an expert on writing a book. Kel's never written a book.
I can literally,
I'm a writer, not an author.
Yeah, you're the expert.
I will recap in 3 minutes. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. So life coach lightning round.
Theanine.
Hey, how about this?
You need to give him some theanine.
What's that?
It knocks your cortisol down.
It knocks what?
Your cortisol down.
Stressor.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not stressed. I'm not. Well, I mean, there's no stress. I'm not stressed. But there are things that I want to cover.
It's just opposition.
In like 2 hours.
We're not doing it his way.
We can keep recording this on this.
Yeah.
But the live stream is gone after 2 hours. Out of my control.
How many? Where are we at?
And we're already about it like
49 minutes.
Yeah, 49 minutes into this thing. And I'm like,
because you came with questions and you came with set
expectations.
I always come with questions. That's what I do. I ask questions.
When I'm with Kel, literally come up with a topic and then let's just
throw it in. Just throw the gauntlet.
Literally,
I'm about ready to do it.
We're a walking convention.
I'm about ready to do it. I'm just about ready to just say, hey, you guys talk about authoring, and I'm just going to sit here and be the...
Literally walk you through. I will talk you through right now how we will be on a special broadcast, right? Which I can put, hero.fm. It's $67 on Black Friday, lifetime, one-time payment. And you can have closed, private, paid podcasts. So you can create all your courses, all your page, all your everything up there, and you can take their money and people can listen to all your podcasts and everything, as many as you want. $67. So that's part of it. Right.
What a bargain.
And so
what's it called?
Hero, HIRO.fm. So writing a book, as I said, it's the better business card. The fastest way to do it is to use ChatGPT to help you organize your thoughts.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You can use Answer the Public to figure out what people are looking for because you want a search engine optimization, but now it's beyond that. It's ask engine optimization.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's what I like about
You do not have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
I use technology to figure out what people want because it's the marrying of my passion, my expertise, and what the audience actually wants from me. And I want to be evergreen. That's the other thing. A lot of people write things that are very topical and very right.
Like, what's some examples?
I had to rewrite Poison Pills and the Death of Democracy when Hillary's team leveraged me to shut up and not put it out before the 2016 election.
Yeah, those guys are in trouble right now. No politics.
But I'm just saying, I had a book written that was literally about how the two-party system is killing the American dream. This is a nonpartisan, literally historical, we the people are the power, and I don't think any U.S. citizen should ever disagree with that. Right. We the people are the power.
Hello.
That is partisan.
If they're the 1%, that means we're the 99%. I like our odds on numbers alone.
Right. Has anybody seen the movie Ants?
Yes.
Right. So there's a little thing in there where
that's fantastic.
Where they go, if they figured out how many of them are versus us, we'd be done.
Oh, they're scared to death.
Hey,
that's why they keep doing what they're doing.
Here's a little spin-off on the conversation. So a buddy of mine, he's all in the lineage, traces stuff back to King George the First.
Yes.
Right. And he's always posting like Obama, he's my 8th cousin removed and all this stuff, right? Hollywood celebrities and stuff. But he's not he doesn't like the whole cabal. So he basically disclosed that these sick fucks, that have just this ungodly amount of money, of course, they're in bed with Hollywood. Let's put it that way.
They run
They're the
Hollywood.
ones that pay
fund
for the
Hollywood.
movies. And so they'll make movies where they actually put it right in front of our face and make fun of us and tell us exactly what they're doing.
They have
and
to.
That's how spiritual contracts
and
work.
you were talking exactly about
And
what that
exactly
right there.
there. So that's why I think escape from
Esoterica. I'm in.
Mhm.
I'm totally.
And
I was thinking whenever people says you should write a book, I always think autobiography. Nobody gives a fuck. Topic I can do.
When you guys write Escape from Esoterica, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And just a little bit of nonfiction, put Snake Plissken in there since it's Escape from, because right now, Escape from New York with the recent election there and stuff like that. And
well, you know what?
some of the issues
Actually,
there's going to be an Escape from New York.
No, we're going to have.
Do you know who Plissken is?
Yes, I actually do. So I'm a Gen Xer. Yes, I do. So we can have two versions because when I was thinking, Escape from Esoterica, I was actually thinking of, like for women, but for the Eat, Pray, Love women, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he just brings up, we're leaving out 50% of the humans who are going through this as well. And we really need to have
I wasn't thinking that narrow.
a badass
action.
We need the badass version, which is going to be, much more Andrew Tate than I am normally. And that's when I knew the world was in trouble, when I was like, why is Andrew Tate the only one making sense right now? Because I don't like the man, but I cannot argue with anything that just came out of his mouth. And like by the 30th time that happened, I was like, we're fine. Like this. Anyway, no politics.
Yeah.
Going back to book writing.
If you want to write a book about politics, or
be careful writing a book about politics.
There's so much out there. So don't do it.
No, it depends on what you're writing. There's this wonderful man who has the best Instagram videos, and he writes history books, real history books for homeschoolers. And he's written all of these children's books all about history and actual history and like the real ways that things work and Jekyll Island and how our money system works and like everything. So if you have a passion, also know, as just a little side note, you cannot trademark a single book title, which means you're going to want to think of a series so that you can put 3 book covers together, whip up 3 cheesy ass ebooks, put ISBN numbers on them, and then you can file for your trademark before anybody even knows that your book exists. And then that's your first edition. And then you just release the second editions.
That's what she told me to do for the Business Detective, and I got the 1 ebook, but I got 4.
Yeah, you got to get 4 before you can actually trademark it. And I don't even know if you can trademark it. I think I told you you can't.
No, you said I can.
I did?
You told me that I need to get it. Yeah, it's on my list
Oh,
of
well,
things
then
to do.
you just said it out loud publicly, so you should go do
hurry
it
up
tonight.
tomorrow. Yeah.
USPTO.gov. So, yeah, it's $350 per category class. And know that if you do one category class and you do another category class and you fail on one, you lose both. So file them separately. Take this from my advice as someone who has done 1,000 trademarks. And I lost a couple that were very important because I didn't get a mobile app built. And I didn't realize that I could say, just drop that one.
Yeah. So with you saying that an author, should have, it's going to, you're not going to pull tooth for her to get the first one. She's probably going to fall in love with it, but you want to have, you want to have multiple books, right?
That's fear.
So talk about an author establishing, I have a note here, it's your author operating system, all your little checks and balances.
Oh, yes.
And, so talk about that.
Okay. So the number one thing is your intellectual property. So you need to own your name.com. You need to have matching socials. This is just part of your overall overarching brand. If you cannot secure your name because it is Jane Smith, then you are going to come up with a publishing company name. And you are going to make sure that you can get a .com, and you are going to make sure that you can get all matching socials. That's step 1.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, you are going to create your book series. You're going to trademark that. That's going to be owned by your company. Now, if you really want to get advanced, then you want either Wyoming or Nevada. You want a series LLC, and each book in that series is its own series in that LLC. Why? That separates your risk. Okay, so you're diversifying your risk, because if somebody comes after something you said in this book, they can only get that vertical of money. They can't get the entire pot.
She's referring to this thing called piercing the corporate veil.
Yes.
So
and so you want to have many layers for them to have to get through.
If they sue company A, they file for bankruptcy to get out of it for whatever reason, and they own company B, they'll keep going.
They'll keep
all
going
the way down until they find the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your brand is the most important. Step 2, and you haven't even started writing yet, but step 2, who are you and how do you want to show up? Okay, so I bit the bullet. Now keep in mind, I'm on stage all the time, I'm on TV all the time, but 99% of the time, I am wearing sweats, no makeup, my hair in a cheerleader ponytail, and I'm in slippers
On purpose?
on
Like
purpose.
when
And
you're
no,
emceeing?
no,
Oh.
when I'm not on stage or not
Oh,
on
yeah, yeah, yeah,
TV.
yeah. Yeah.
99%. Look, on stage, if I'm speaking, I'm in 6-inch Louboutins and I look dangerous.
Right.
If I'm emceeing, I'm wearing combat boots and studded something and a vintage punk rock t-shirt.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but if I'm at a family office event, I'm wearing, Prada and Louboutins. But
First time I met you, you were all dolled up.
I was all
And
dolled
then I
up.
think it was the second or third time where she's just like, I feel comfortable with you now.
Yeah, I'm good. No makeup. Show up with no makeup on.
That's the
Oh,
way I
wow.
prefer women, just like, yeah,
But
neighborhood girls.
So really, you have to figure out how you're going to show up because you want to show up consistently, right? And start talking. I built my audience on no makeup, midnight, in a hotel room by myself, laughing my ass off, nobody to talk to. So I just started going on Facebook Live and talking to my audience, and 400,000 people would show up. So just literally start talking, start engaging, start building your audience about your topic. See what sparks joy in them, see what goes viral with them, see what they're retweeting. Feel out your audience. When you're figuring out what it is you want to write about, you want to look at your competition. So that's where you go to Amazon and you start looking up the books that you would be competing with. Because as I said, an Amazon bestseller campaign, it's very formulaic, right? But part of that formula is, can you win? Don't go up against Tim Ferriss. He's going to win. Don't go up against Tony Robbins. He's going to win, right? Look at the subcategories. Look where you would be. Go look around the neighborhood you want to dominate. Okay? Look around there, look at what their cover designs look like. Figure out, what are you going to look like? What are you talking about? Do you fit in this neighborhood or not? If not, go find a different neighborhood, but find your neighborhood. That's going to help you set up for success. Then you're going to look at the top 20 books. And you don't want to be derivative. There's 2 schools of thought here. One is, if you want to write a book, the fastest way to do it is pick the top 3 books in the category that you want to go after, pump them into ChatGPT and say, make me something similar. And boom, it's going to give you a derivative that's like, mushing all these things together.
Right.
That's not you, and
Right.
that's not
Yeah,
authentic.
you got to put your own spin on it. Yeah, your voice.
But just because you're not going to use their information in your book doesn't mean you don't want to know what it is.
Mhm.
So I would always read the 3 to 5 top books that I'm going up against, and I would look for, what did they miss? What did they forget? The other thing you can look at is read the reviews. The bad reviews will be like, they didn't even talk about this, right?
I always read
You
bad
guys, I don't know
reviews.
if anybody realizes this that is listening or is going to be listening to this. That's some good stuff that she is like
Oh, yeah.
bringing up like right now.
Right now.
You know,
These are
so-
things you can do
so-
right now.
so
This is all the prep and research.
quickly, what do you do? Let's say role play. If you're going through your brainstorming session and you check all these different things out that you may get into as far as writing a book, and you come up against all these gladiators, and then you start saying, oh, well, I'm going to go look over here. You look over there, there's another gladiator. So how does this person combat the imposter syndrome that may pop up right then? It was just like
Then they
qualify.
read the blue ocean strategy and get over it.
Well, that's coaching right there.
Okay,
Blue
seriously.
ocean strategy. Again,
You gotta make it-
elaborate on that.
You've got to make your own market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to be so unique that you don't have competition. right?
So you're talking bootstrap time,
It's-
pulling up the bootstraps, or are
No,
you talking about self?
My publishing
resolve,
company
you
is
know?
called Disrupt. Why? Because I break things frequently. I break the norms.
Yeah.
I break the standards. I never
Yeah.
had a glass ceiling, but if there was one, it'd be broken too. So the idea is, figure out where you want to live, right? What neighborhood you want to live in. Figure out what they're not talking about. Keep in mind, I had this talk show on national broadcast television. And why did we grow 200% week over week? Because we had the conversations you would only have with your best, smartest girlfriends after your second mimosa at brunch. Literally the stuff nobody talks about, the shameful things that everybody thinks they are the only one suffering through this indignity or whatever it is. They are the only one, and they are having to suffer in silence. And then finally, one day after their second mimosa, and they're literally eating their eggs Benedict, looking down almost in tears, and they go, I can't hold it in. I leak when I laugh. What do I do about that? I smell like a urinal. And their friend looks over and goes, honey, that happens to a lot of people. Haven't you ever heard of icon undies? And all of a sudden a light bulb goes off and goes, there's a solution. What do you mean there's a solution? I don't have to smell like a urinal. I don't have to be embarrassed. I can let my husband go down there. Oh my God. And all of a sudden their world just opens up. The shame lifts. Everything is bright and sunny, and there's so much optimism in their life. And if you can give that to someone in a book, that is what you need to do. We did that in a talk show. So when you're looking for what do I write about, look at everything else. Everybody's talking about, Susie Orman, don't have a latte. I'm like, have you ever seen me decaffeinated, Susie? I'm not fun. I'm not friendly. I'm not nice. I'm freaking scary.
I can't stand that reductionist advice crap.
Right.
Oh, give up this. Just get rid of that. Oh, do you realize how much you're spending on this? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I fucking do, and I want it.
And I want it.
I want it. Teach me how to make more so I can afford it. Don't tell me to get rid of it.
Right. Exactly.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's my whole point.
Good stuff, ladies.
So that would be the antithesis, right? You take the opposing view of what the norm is, right? Like one of my big opposing views that I am pushing very, very hard, and I will get it done. I'm a mouthy person. I got a lot of influence over a lot of people, and it's going to take all my karma points for this. I want food sovereignty. I want local farmers to be able to sell to their neighbors and their local area. I want my cows urban farming. I want my cows to stop getting shot up with shit. I want it to be illegal to take a cow from another country, import them, put them on a piece of grass for 2 weeks and call it organic grass fed.
Wow.
Right? We have so many things that are
so much bullshit.
This is literally in my manufacturing chaos. This is literally all about how our food is fucking us up.
So that's what that meme was. I saw a meme the other day. They were making fun of Orange Man having over the wall.
Oh, that was the Argentina beef.
But, yeah.
But that was just because our cattle ranch, the problem is we only have 4 meat packers. We only have 4 processing plants that are allowed, and that needs to stop.
Oh, yeah.
That needs, I want
Sounds
my
like
local.
a good old boy network.
Please.
Well, what was funny, right, is I'm from California, and in Sonoma County, we had Angelo's, which was they raised organic cattle on organic, not glyphosate sprayed pastures, ate good food, happy, frolicking. I mean, literally, they could be seen skipping, like happy cows, right? If I'm going to eat a cow, I want a happy cow that hasn't been injected with bullshit. And then you could go to the butcher, and these were the cows. They are now in pieces for you to purchase. That I want.
See your food.
I
your
could
food chain.
see
your food
from birth to butcher. I see the whole thing right in front of me. I want that. I want that to be the norm. I want organic carrots to just be called carrots. I want everything that is not organic to have a modifier, not the one thing that is actually good for you, that is real, to have its own modifier and go through a testing process that says, I am certified organic. Because the other problem is you can be certified organic and made in China, and they don't actually look over there and see if they're certified organic. And then we find out that there's like metal and shit in there.
Organic is just a brand.
And that's the problem. It's an association. It's not an actual definition. Right. And so these are the things that I am full on Maha. I don't know if you could tell. I'm so sorry I went down that
with you on this.
But this is my whole point about writing books, right? I'm clearly very passionate about this, right? And it's because when I was a kid, I was living on, a half a gallon of milk, iceberg lettuce, blue cheese dressing, and grilled cheese sandwiches. American cheese.
Yummy.
Wonder Bread, grilled cheese. None of it was food. None of it was good for me. So I was like practically manic. I was not mentally well. I was just such a good actress.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
the masking.
The masking from age 5, like it was the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. Like I memorized the whole play. Like I memorized the entire A Midsummer Night's Dream with the right accent, by the way, the whole damn thing when I was 8. So I was just such a good actress that I thought nobody noticed, but I felt very unstable. Like like the rubber band would have to expand all the way to the end when I'm having a meltdown. I couldn't just stop at midway and go back. No, I had to go all the way to the end
to force it.
and then I could retreat.
Yep.
And part of that is autism. Part of that is the MTHFR gene mutation. Part of that is them putting this freaking synthetic folic acid in all of our food. But it wasn't until I met a chiropractor for a car accident who ended up doing the food allergy testing on me that ended up proving all of these things so that I could then get, I call it clean and sober. So I had 50 foods, including chocolate, sugar, milk, wheat, corn, potatoes, and coffee, and 50 things that I could not have because I had emotional and physical manifestations of bad, but it would never come up on an allergy test. So people don't understand applied kinesiology. They don't understand how that works. And if they did, they would be able to easily self-test themselves before they eat anything. And all of a sudden, once I went 6 months, I was like rock freaking solid for months. And it was a little like, whoa. It's kind of like getting glasses for the first time when you've never been able to see clearly. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, the world's a very different place. And so then I would experiment with one food, see what the reaction was. Another food, see what the reaction was. I really like chocolate cake. So I was like, how do I make chocolate cake okay? So it was like, okay, if I have a steak, does not work with a hamburger, a steak, then I can have the chocolate cake and I have no reaction.
Interesting.
So the food combinations and the order that I eat them in, like I did all those experiments for probably 2 years. And it was mind-blowing because now I have such rigorous control over my emotional volatility. Like I don't have emotional volatility, right? My baseline is happy. It's just happy.
That's
and
good.
it takes a lot to get me below
I
the line.
finally got there too.
Right? And so I want this for everyone. And they're never going to get there if they don't understand that what they're putting in their body is actually like putting concrete blocks on their feet and jumping off the ferry and being like, but I can swim to shore. No, you can't.
Well, and the problem is we got away with it.
Right.
It was introduced in our lifetimes.
Right.
We were the experiment. We were the beta testers for it. They had no idea.
Yeah, but we were Gen X. We're raised feral.
Oh,
we're a completely different breed. It doesn't
So
work with
different.
these kids.
It doesn't.
They could do the same thing they did to us, but they do it to it does not. It has different
Totally.
outcomes. Our coping mechanisms were much
different. Much different.
Well,
because we were allowed to be exposed to germs.
And right.
So our natural immune systems developed.
It absolutely developed, but also we had to lose. And we had to lose at dodgeball. Like we flung off of those little swirly thingies and the
merry-go-rounds.
Oh, the merry-go-rounds. And it was all
Metal
like
bars
fire hot. You go down the slide and you got third-degree burns, right? Like
they had no idea. People had no idea.
This was back in the day.
70s,
this was back in the 70s. Yeah.
Mentioning dodgeball.
Yeah.
Okay. Where it was okay. We didn't care.
We
we hit a boy or a girl.
It didn't matter.
Oh, I was a target. I was 265 pounds. I was an absolute target.
So this is what's funny, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, this is why this whole gender divide thing. I'm like, yeah, no, no, I ran that. I was in charge in preschool. I was in
Me
charge.
too.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No, there was no boys, girls, this, that. No. I was picked on the teams because I would dominate. So we were just different. But so applying the same things to these kids did not have that. These kids all got trophies. They do not have the emotional resiliency to manage the emotional volatility that the food is creating, which is then mimicking all of this mental health illness, which then gets them all put on prescriptions, which then makes it
Can you not
freaking
see
worse.
the pipeline?
Which then when they get off the drugs, then like my kid who took Adderall, stopped Adderall at 14 and literally blew up and gained like 80 pounds.
Jesus.
Right. So it's all part and parcel of the same thing. So if we can clean up the food, then we can clean up people's minds. Then we can probably unite around some really good freaking ideas like clean water, clean air, probably a good idea. Basic stuff, just basic stuff, and get rid of all the fringes because the fringes won't. If everybody manages their emotional volatility and everybody can figure out who they really are, unmodified by these food additives, then there's no more power. Then we all return to being sovereign, we the people.
Right.
Which, by the way, then we become the greatest melting pot ever. But we all start from one point, which is sanity.
Common sense,
Common sense,
intelligence.
sanity, those kinds of things, math. Okay, let's go back to the books.
Sanity is subjective these days.
Yeah,
that's
it really
for
is.
sure.
That's
is.
the scariest thing. Like truth is subjective.
They started
Fact, objective.
Okay, they started messing with reality when they introduced Common Core. When math was no longer math. But going back to book publishing, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm having a TMJ or if I have a cavity, but it's very frustrating. Okay, so you know what neighborhood you're in. You know what you want to talk about. You've done your research. You've read the other books. You've looked at their reviews. You've figured out what did they miss? What did nobody talk about? What is nobody talking about that's actually like a critical thing that people really should be talking about because it will provide the greatest transformation. Okay, so then after you've figured out what that is, now what we do is we get a pack of index cards. So don't think I'm not old school. I don't do everything on the computer. I don't like to handwrite, but I do handwrite this part. Why? Because it's kinesthetic.
Power.
Okay, so you can use either big Post-it note ones that are like the size of an index card, but you can stick them to a wall. I am very, very old school. I use regular index cards and I sit on the freaking floor. So every index card on one side, you're going to write your memory trigger so you know what is on the backside. But on the backside, you're going to write the story. What is the story? And these are just literally going to be 100 stories in your life, things that tangentially relate to what you're talking about in the book, right? And I'm going to read you one that I wrote for my client, the opening story, and I'll explain how it relates. But this is why this is so important. You have very little time to grab the reader. You have page 1. You have the back cover copy. That's essential, right? But you have page 1. And if they are not into you and your writing style on page 1, they're putting the book back and they're not buying it. Or worse, they're buying it on Amazon and then returning it. You don't want that either.
No. Wow, I didn't even know you could do that.
You absolutely can. I've done it.
I get all electronic. Can you return electronics too?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah.
No. That's why if you're going to buy electronic, you buy Kindle Unlimited, but I'm still tactile. I want to sit out.
I did
And
until
read.
the arthritis got too bad in my hands. I could probably go back to it now.
Yeah. I can probably help you with that.
Yeah.
I have so many health things. One of my startups.
Oh, I fixed it all.
I'm
but I
going to have
couldn't-
to talk to you about that.
Yes.
One of my startups is literally it's masquerading as a bougie anti-aging med spa. But what it's really doing is driving natural medicine and cures first. So you don't go to the doctor
Right.
because you're going to the spa and you're doing
You're
all
getting
the
your healing,
things.
yeah.
You're getting healed all the time.
Sure.
Just as literally as a part of your routine. And it's like no big because it just mitigates all of the, you've got this metabolic dysfunction and all these other things and it just
Fixes it.
fixes everything. And
Fixes
then part of it is a baby making clinic because we have this drastic reduction in our birth rate and we have all of these women, including one of
Is
my
that a bad thing though?
we do not want population collapse, which is where we're headed. So my one girlfriend if anybody should have 10 babies, it's her. And she's having trouble. And there's ways to fix it, but it's very difficult when you're going up against these MDs who are saying party line stuff. And it's like, literally, here's these things. And they're all over the counter. They're all natural, right? Get them at the health food store. Like super. I'm from Marin County, California. I mean, I was raised by a hippie. So that kind of stuff is first line of defense for me. Anyway, back to the topics. The whole idea is figure out where your stories intersect, right? And then you look through and you go over the outline. Your outline's going to be these colored index cards, and you're going to put them in the right order. And you're going to figure out, okay. And then for each one of those chapters, you're going to write 10 questions that somebody who is interested in this topic needs to know, doesn't know, and nobody else is telling them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is, I'm going to credit Bestseller in a Weekend. Alicia Dunham's one of my great friends. She just sold the company, so I'm not sure who's running it now, but it's still going. Bestseller in a Weekend goes through this process and overviewing. But the idea is you can speak the answers to all of those questions and then transcribe it. Well, now you don't even have to send it out to be transcribed. It's automatic. right? You literally upload the audio and say, make it better. But the stories. So I had to rip these stories out of one of the top high-tech sales guys, big tech, right? Top sales guy in the country. One of them, like big, not famous, but one of the most amazing sales guys, right? And his book is on how you survive in that environment, right? And all the crazy stuff and the ups, the downs, the infighting, the bureaucracy, all the crazy, right? And it's like, because you have to at that point, right? Like this guy, he's an unknown as of right now, but after I launch him, he will not be. But the idea is it's not just a book, it's a better business card. So what are you actually selling? The book is literally that little sample of crack on the corner that gets you coming back for more.
Yeah, it's your conduit.
Right? It's your better business card, your golden ticket onto the media. So you're going to get that earned media. You're going to get free publicity. You're going to have all these talking points. You're going to do your guesting on all the podcasts. You're going to do a whole tour.
Helps you with your social proof.
Right? Gets you all the social proof. And this is why I'm like, whatever it is you're writing about, you have to be able to talk. I mean, if you hear me talk, I am stream of consciousness, but I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but you have to be able to talk.
And contemporaneously.
Yes. And you also have to be able to say things now you wouldn't have noticed, but easily 10 or 15 things that I have said until I could say it as naturally as I said my name, but those were all scripted. I've just been saying them for so long, I can just weave them in. That was one of the best things Tony Robbins ever taught me.
I know how to do that. I do a script all the time. It's called Yes, Dear.
That's so funny. I do a visual stack. So when it was like trying to deliver PowerPoint presentations and deliver a speech, right? It was like, I'm reading. Well, the audience is not going to connect with you if you're reading. That's why you really need to embed all of these stories, right?
Yeah.
And so instead, it's like this awesome picture of a lion, right? And I know the story that I'm going to tell that goes with the lion, right? And then this other one is, a penguin or the monkeys, right? So the monkeys was literally how I try to break people out of that, like the esoterica, but it's also break them out of these cult-like behaviors where they just feel like everything has to be that way because that's the way that it's always been. And I tell them the story of the monkeys.
That's what the guru said.
But it's like, so you have this experiment and they had monkeys and the monkeys were hungry and there was bananas at the top of the pole and they would try to get up to the top of the pole. And when they got up to the top of the pole, they'd shoot them down with a water hose and they would not let them. They're hungry, hungry, hungry until they stopped trying to get the bananas. Then they'd take out one monkey, they'd put in a new monkey who never had it. Right. And then they'd do it again. Then they'd do it again. Well, by the time they circulated out, and they put in a new monkey. The monkeys that were actually in there had never actually been blasted off of the pole. They'd just been trained by the other ones to not do it. And then the new one came in, and so nobody knew why they were doing what they were doing, but they did it anyway. And this is that ancestral kind of baggage.
Yeah, it's like the fleas.
It's with the jar. With the jar. But this is why you have to neutralize your audience. It's the same thing with a speech, right? It is a waveform. It is volatile. You are taking them up. You are taking them down. You are taking them up. You are taking them down. And then you're going to take them super, super, super high and run them to the back of the room and take the credit.
It's the same thing with the set list for a band.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But that very first thing is you have to neutralize the room so you know where everybody's starting from, right? And stories do that really, really well. They suck you in. Like the beginning of Laura Herring, her book, the very beginning opening scene was the plane was crashing. It's like your life flashing before your eyes as the plane is crashing. How are you not going to keep turning the page? Right? How are you not going to keep going? It's like you have to know. Now you got to know, right? So those are the kinds of things. And then when you're looking at your stories, right? You want to look at the stories that you can tell in a way where you're giving them. This is the part that, I argue with people, but I am always for maximum transparency, right? I want that story to make the reader feel like they are closer to you. They have glimpsed a piece of your soul. You have shared with them something true, invited them in, and trusted them with your story. And you could be talking about accounting. It won't matter if you tell the story the right way, right? You want that feeling so that when they're done with this book, they are loyal and they are your brand ambassadors and they are your evangelists because you have given them some transformation. And like I said, it could be accounting, it could be how to make your grass greener. It could be, it doesn't matter, but it's the stories, and the stories don't have to always be sad. Matter of fact, in my first book, all my stories were funny, even though they were about tragic things. I made it funny because that's what I was told. And from that, I did 300 media appearances my first year. So I did television, radio, newspaper, magazine, everything, full spreads, like the whole freaking bit. And I was the #1 marriage book in America for 3 years running.
Wow.
So that maintained my popularity. So, little backstory. Part of the reason why I did that and went so hard in that direction was because I was doing a documentary called Anarchy Ahead, The Harvesting of American Families. And it was about the child support industry and the Department of Child Support Services that was good intentions created to recoup $400 million in welfare payments that the government was spending. And they thought, well, we'll just go after those deadbeat dads and we'll recoup that. Long story short, they're spending $5 billion a year to recoup $400 million. And in the process, they are roping in middle class and upper class families that don't need that to be in there because they have to meet their numbers, their federally required numbers, which make no sense. And they were getting commissions. The more they could collect, they would literally get a cut of that as a reimbursement. So they were making money on it.
Oh my.
And because of that, they were actually committing and helping commit paternity fraud. Because once you were designated the father, if you only had a very narrow window to be able to object. So anyway, so I had this documentary and it was brutal. And I mean brutal. And I uncovered the DC pedophile ring. And my kid was 18 months old and I got the call. It would be a shame if anything happened to your child. And I knew in that moment, not only did I have to have a dead man switch, I also needed to become as famous as possible in order to protect myself so that if I went missing, people would notice. And that is when I flipped my documentary, which was dark, depressing, soul-sucking, and solutionless, and made you want to blow your brains out when you left the theater. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to actually make this go mainstream because it's really dark. I turned it into Every Single Girl's Guide to Her Future Husband's Last Divorce, and it is 254 pages of pink, fabulous, awesome girl boss, lady boss, empowering bits of information for second wives to get to their 50-year wedding anniversary, and in the process, protect their husbands, who are the fathers who are being put through this system. The first thing I told everyone is when you're marrying a divorced man, what you need is you need to get a satisfaction of judgment for matured installments every year. And you file that with your local county recorder. And you do that because that is a line in the sand, no go backsies. You've got a clean, fresh start. You know where you're starting. I didn't do that. And she claimed he owed her $100,000, which put us in family court for 2.5 years. So this is where this all started, right? And so I always said I'm never going to make a documentary because there's no money in it. And, there really isn't. But then I understood why people do it.
Yeah.
You get tortured enough and you are going to solve the problem. And I'm like, I'm an award-winning film producer. Like, I've been around the world for 2 years. I know this industry. Y'all want to mess with me? Oh, no. I have a camera crew and I have all my own equipment. I'm going to make a documentary. We started going to court with media passes. And all of a sudden, things just started working the way they were supposed to work, not the way they usually work. And I was like, it's systematic corruption.
Optics.
It's optics. So that's how I literally stumbled into my first best-selling book, was the need to be able to maintain a level of notoriety that if anything were to happen to me, people would notice.
Kel, do you know how many politicians it takes to screw in a light bulb?
No.
3. 1 to screw it in, 1 to screw it up, and the last one to screw an intern.
Oh my goodness.
Come on now.
That's kind of funny. But there's a kid behind you, and I don't know if they can hear us out there.
No, we're not.
No way. No way.
We're all self-contained here.
Okay.
Well,
that's a good one.
That's actually a good one.
That's a good one.
Not bad. No.
Okay, let's go back to
Last one.
Okay.
What do seniors trust less than politicians? Farts. Okay, I'm done.
But that's wisdom.
Yes.
That is aged wisdom right there, and I would agree.
Not trusting a politician or not trusting a fart.
Don't trust the fart.
No.
Yes.
Oh
How about
God, no.
either? Don't trust
Especially if you've
either.
had bariatric surgery.
Which I have had. Yes. So yeah, never trust. We do not trust farts.
Even Al Roker.
Yeah, we do not.
You don't
Trust.
do.
Okay, so once you have your stories, right, and you have your index cards, then you place them in order.
Mhm. You said colors, so how do you?
I do colors
that?
for chapters, right?
Okay.
And then each chapter has 3 subsections. This is the way I do it because this is the way I built my AI to do it.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier. And then 3 questions each. So you end up with 9 questions. But the way that I have it sorted, if you want a really long book, then you do 10 questions each.
What's the next question real quick? Like word count. Is there do's and don'ts about word count?
What you want to end up with for a real book is a minimum of 120 pages. And that is a short book.
That is.
That is a one contemplating the universe session.
What's your wheelhouse? Like,
I'm like
what you strive for?
I'm like 160, 180.
Oh, well, that's still kind of a short book.
People won't read it if it's over
Right, if
3.
it's too long.
If it's over 300,
You only get the nerds.
They're
There
not
you
going to
go.
read it.
That's what I'm asking for.
So I want
Yeah, so 160.
mainstream adoption. Now, keep in mind also the way that I break out each chapter, right? Each chapter then has a subsection. Every single one of those subsections has their own publicity pitch. Their own, remember, are you committing financial infidelity? How to keep the romance hot when the economy goes cold.
Oh, I see.
Every single chapter, every single subsection.
Buttons. You're hitting hot buttons.
So every single one of those I have pre-planned for media pitches. Why? Because it will keep me fresh and it will keep me as a return guest. I have to make sure I can knock it out of the park on the very first one. When we're talking about the book launch, we're going to talk about the book launch, but we're going to talk about different things. But also by having those different things, it allows me to go to different media outlets, big media outlets, and still give them an exclusive. Right?
Do you get your feedback? I would guess that I would rather not get feedback from family or friends because they're going to go, "Oh, it's great." You know what I mean?
They're either going to rip it apart or
stuff,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So stay away from the feel goodsy stuff.
You don't want the feel goodsy thing,
right.
you know, that have them come to the book launch. But
Yeah.
So I had, for my first book, I had my 8 smartest girlfriends review it. And they redlined, they did this, I told them, don't pull any punches. They didn't. And I fixed everything. And this woman pitched me and I was like, God, I don't want to spend another $3,500 on this book. Holy fuck, can't I just get to print? And she goes, let me just do the first chapter. She's a copy editor. Every page came back. And every single change was. So there's certain things when you think your book is done, there's 4 more steps after that. It's not done.
So what's the difference?
You might be done writing, but it's not done.
Yeah, like at that point, like what's the line?
Well, no, literally there's
That's
8 different kinds of dashes. Did you know that? I did not know that until I had bloody pages and it was explained to me.
But what I guess my question is after your explanation is like, what's the line between, say, turning something in that you wrote?
Yep.
And then they do that editing like that, where they basically rewrit.
No, there's
the chapter.
No, that's
not what happened. Oh, okay.
This was a copy edit. This was moving commas, punctuation,
okay, gotcha.
Capitalization, splitting paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a no-brainer.
Occasionally rewriting a sentence for clarity. No. So you have different levels of help.
And why is that important to, again, our listening audience as far as like having somebody do that?
What's so powerful and people don't understand, they think, I can just speak and then I can, like you read ebooks and you can tell that
they're proofreading themselves instead of having somebody else.
But it's not just that. They'll record and transcribe and put it in an ebook and think that's a book. And when you're reading it, you literally know this was spoken, not written. Subconsciously, when you're reading a book, you can literally read that it was written versus it was transcribed. And it is a very different way of doing sentence structure and organization and plotting, right? You want to plot, you want to take them on an emotional journey, which is part of why you want these story arc things, right? Because you've got to plan the volatility of their emotional cycle throughout the book. But that's the other reason why I do that. I'll have different sections and I'll be like, okay, this section's actually going to be perfect for business, right? So I'll take that one section and then I'll do like 7 different pitches for 7 different television shows. So they all get an exclusive, but I'm only really riffing off of one section of the book. Right? That happened to be, is it child support or is it tax fraud? Because literally in California and many other states, they were pushing this notion of all deductible family support. However, the lawyers were not actually informing them of what the legal requirements per the IRS were, which means if you have one child, you cannot change the amount of family support within 6 months of them graduating high school, turning 18, going off to college, moving out, getting married, joining the military, dying, or like a number of other things. 6 months before or after, right? And then if you have 2 children, it's 1 year before or after either child. So it broadens this window. So I literally made a Facebook app back when Facebook was brand new, and they gave me an engaged status. They didn't have that before. I was like, pretty please, I'm launching this book for engaged women. And so I made this game where you could literally slide it. You put the dates in and it's like, uh-oh. Because if you change the support amount within that window, the IRS will then recapture all of that amount that you have written off as alimony or all deductible family support, and they will recapture it, charge you the tax and penalties and interest. And this is the trap that everybody was getting roped into because this was like the new thing, this all deductible family support, but nobody was doing it right. So I had multiple different shows where I would be talking about these kinds of things, right? So that's the other thing. You want to be able to get on as many shows as possible, and it can't all be in esoterica. You will limit yourself if you are limiting yourself to one very narrow genre of, dragon porn. Like that's a thing. But is that the only thing?
Hell no.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. We can get into furniture making.
Right.
Like there's so much more to go.
Oh God.
Right?
Metal forging
The
and
whole-
alchemy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to make sure that you're expansive enough that you're going to draw in a large enough audience to make it worth writing the book. So as you're going through and you have these stories, the easiest way that I have found to get the stories out is really have a good interviewer. So everybody has a good journalism friend that will dive deeper, right? Because you're going to tell a story, but you're going to leave something out and you're going to be like, can you circle back to that? What did that feel like for you? How was that? Right? What did that mean to you? Did you resent your dad for that? How did that work? Right? And so when I work with people, I literally deep dive on the stories for like 4 or 5 hours because I need to get to know them and their essence before I even really put the whole thing together. And this is something that's very helpful because you can just have a friend do it. And it's really, why do you want to write the book? What do you think people need to know that they don't know? And tell me about your life. And you can then match the stories and those kinds of things. I want to read you what I wrote because we're pretty in there, but can I take 3 minutes?
Do it.
Okay. I think you're going to it'll make my point quite well.
Cal, what are you thinking about your book?
The wheels are turning. Yeah, the gears are definitely.
Lots of things, planting seeds.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the opening. Keep in mind, this is a high-tech sales book.
Okay.
Okay. In the blistering summer heat of Texas, I stood on the worn-out pitcher's mound of our local Little League field. My father, the team coach, stood behind me with a stern expression, a stopwatch in hand. Every day after school, I would find myself in the same spot, gripping the rough leather of my baseball, my arm aching from the relentless repetition. At just 6 years old, the task seemed Herculean. Throw a fastball 300 times without fail. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the field, but my practice was far from over. My father's voice echoed in my ears, a mix of encouragement and unyielding expectation. You want to be the best, you have to put in the work. No shortcuts. With every throw, I could feel the weight of those words, the pressure building in my small frame. My father was not just a coach. He was a taskmaster, a relentless driver of excellence. The memory of my first game is etched in my mind like a vivid painting. The excitement of donning the crisp white uniform, the smell of freshly cut grass, and sounds of parents cheering from the bleachers. As the team huddled together for the pregame pep talk, my father paced back and forth, his gaze piercing through each young player. You've practiced hard. You know what to do. But remember, if you fail, I'll cut you from the team. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. For a 6-year-old, the prospect of failure felt like a looming storm. There were no second chances, no room for mistakes. My father had set the bar high, and I knew I had to meet it. The pressure was intense, but it ignited a fire in me, a drive to prove myself, to be excellent in everything I did. It was in that moment that I learned a crucial lesson. Success was not about talent, it was about perseverance, about pushing through the pain and the fear, and about rising to a challenge every single time. As I grew older, these early experiences became the bedrock of my tenacity and resilience. In the high stake world of high tech sales at Oracle, the lessons from that little league game came rushing back: the relentless practice, the unyielding expectations, and the drive to excel against all odds had prepared me for the challenges ahead. I knew that in business, just like in baseball, there were no guarantees. But with preparation, determination, and an unwavering commitment to excellence, success was always within reach. This is my story, a story of how I learned from an early age that greatness is forged in the crucible of relentless pressure and high expectations. It's a story of overcoming overwhelming odds, of never settling for anything less than the best, and of always being prepared to seize the moment. And it all started on a dusty little league field with my father's stern words and my unyielding drive to succeed.
Wow.
That was
That's
fantastic.
powerful.
Yeah, that and again, all I can say to that is that resonated 100% because that's what I've
Sure. That's your
learned
story
about
too. Yep.
sports. Boy, that is all the sports are metaphors for life.
What time period was he at Oracle? Was he during Ellison's reign?
He actually just left. He just got hired by their top consulting firm.
Wow.
But I love that, to your point. So
I told
the
a story, right? So who is the
compelling
author?
story.
Yeah, who is the author at their core? What
Yeah.
challenges did they face?
Mhm.
What made them who they are? And I've always found, other than Laura was in a plane, it was crashing. Like, obviously you start with the plane crash, but these childhood lessons, if you're talking about lessons learned or things like that, a pivotal thing, a very pivotal story can usually grab the person just like right by the throat and be like, you are going to not put this book down till you're done. But when you're talking about enrolling future tech salespeople, right? These have to be, you got to think of it like a boiler room, like stockbrokers, right? You got to get them when they're young and you got to season them and you got to teach them the ropes and all the things. And this is going through that. But, you really want to get the people who have faced that kind of, because they instantly will go, I actually had that experience, right?
So people that have been involved with sports at a high level are very successful normally in sales,
Exactly,
management, and things like that.
So this has multiple purposes.
It's the failure. You have to let it roll off, and hey, that's part of the game.
So the people who pick up the book, open first page, and read that, and it doesn't resonate with them, this isn't their book.
Not their book. That's
However, if they recognize that spark, even a little bit, they immediately go, oh, I can do this. And then they're already priming themselves for success, right? So as you're working on the book, the whole idea is you want to make your readers self-select out. You don't want people who don't want you. You don't want them to read it and hate it. You want them to not even pick it. You want everyone who picks it to want it and love it. Right? And
That's
so
good.
that's why the stories are so impactful, right? Because he can go on television and talk about the story and resilience. He can literally talk about resilience is one of the top HR words, right? So there's all these different things. Anytime a news story comes out about layoffs or this or that or whatever, like he can go in and be talking about resilience. He can be talking like opportunities, right? How you can do this. He can talk about all the things, right? Because we built in like 100 different media opportunities into one book that tells his story. And it tells the story of many of the different things. Like when he first came in and they literally handed him the dirt. It's the book and it's his territory, his dirt, right? And it's a hot freaking mess. And I mean like beyond a mess. So first you have to clean up everybody else's mess. You didn't even make the mess. You didn't even get a clean patch of dirt. You have
paid for it.
Already existing patch of dirt that has all this crap in it. This is part of his book, right? is what do you do with the dirt? Like first you got to fix the dirt. And so there's all these different stories in there, but it makes it much more readable because otherwise, if you wanted to learn how to do something and you didn't care about being entertained and you weren't trying to build a brand, you would literally just say, ChatGPT, tell me how to get a job in high-tech sales. And it would give you a 2-page summary checklist and you would just do what it said.
Yeah.
You would not understand why. And that's the other big piece. We have agentic AI. I wouldn't say we have AGI yet. And what it really does miss is the emotional context and that nuance. And so while it can tell you what to do, it generally cannot express why in a way that will make you understand and motivated to do it. And that's where books are still the best. And that's where authors still have the ability to do many, many things that AI is not going to replace. You see a bunch of schlock. Look,
Oh, there's so much slop out there right now.
Although,
oh my God.
I got to tell you, Spotify seems to have nailed it. Sora, oh my God. I have Sono, actually. It's Sono. I made the most epic song, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so good.
Have
And
you shut it down yet?
no. Oh, no.
Interesting.
No.
There's all kinds of controversy going on now. A couple of them have been shut down.
I wrote the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
No, I wrote the song.
I gotcha.
Right? I wrote the song with the help. I don't just go, make me a song, click.
Yeah.
No. I literally go through because I want the metaphors. I want the right words. I want the, like in this song, it's literally talking about my grandpa delivering mail. Like it's my words. Right. And so, and it's literally, it's called Free for All. It's land of the brave, home of the free for all.
Nice.
Anyway, but I made it like a rap song, but they put it in a dude's voice. And I'm like, crap, now I got to figure out how to fix it. Anyway, but Spotify, 85% of the spins on Spotify are now AI. And basically, Spotify owes no royalties. So they are creating an entire genre of AI generated music that you like, that you listen to, that you favorite that artist who does not exist, that no longer, it's not a human being that is getting
That's
actual.
not right. I don't like that.
I don't either.
I don't like that
I
either.
don't either. Not interested in that.
And so what I want, and the reason that I like the music generation, but it's because of the way that I use it. I have songs that I want to make. I have stories I want to tell. I have points I want to make. I have different styles. I have, some of the time I'm Billie Eilish and freaking dangerous, and some of the times I'm, Ariana Grande, and some of the times I'm
Adele.
Tom McDonald. Like I'm really Tom McDonald sometimes.
I would see, and I've written a few songs. Like, man, just write it yourself. Now, putting your writing to an AI studio, music studio, is it going to put some studio musicians out of work? Well, yeah, but they're still going to be
but would you pay studio musicians anyway?
It's a very cheap subscription to actually have studio musicians play on your thing, and it's called sweetening.
Speaking of Billie Eilish, I mean, everybody, not everybody, but you probably know the story about her and her brother when they first kind of hit it big. It was like they wrote their shit out of an apartment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A little MIDI keyboard.
I watched the 2-hour documentary that they made and that they put out about that album and the
and that's where
songwriting
you're
process.
like, wow. Now I don't care when that happens. Because they wrote it.
They wrote it. Well, my
so-
girlfriend writes all of her music with her fiance, and they produce everything on the laptop. Like everything is in house. You no longer necessarily have to have a massive studio, but I do appreciate like this one guy, and he's on Instagram, and he wrote, oh my God,
the cat song.
Oh, it's a book talk. It's a
kid-
make me believe. Like show
Bring it to
me
church.
now. It's kind of it's kind of like that, right? I'm trying to remember his name, but he comes up all the time because apparently I like it and he's shirtless when he's singing it, and it just makes me happy. And Instagram seems to know that I like shirtless hot men exercising or singing to me. And I get a lot of that, and it makes me happy. And it's like literally how I'm managing being single for 2.5 years, because I just get enough I like
dopamine hits.
I need the abs and the arms and the hot and the looks and it's book talk. Apparently there's a whole other thing and I had no idea, but he wrote this song, and he writes these songs based on like the endings of these smutty romance novels, which is probably why I absolutely love it. And so he sang it live, and he did a before and after, like live and then auto-tuned. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, the first one was good, but the second one, it's doing it for me.
Wow.
Like the panties got wet on the second one, so I'm going to say go with that.
And I think that's the value of running that kind of stuff through. That's what AI for that is going to be good for.
Right.
Because, I mean, we can only do so much.
Well, and that's what's funny. So when we're talking about copywriting, right? Like, so I have Hemingway, I have Grammarly, I have like 7 different editing programs specifically for book writing, right? That I've been using. Like, I think I've had a Hemingway for a decade, had Grammarly since it started. And what's funny is I have to actually prompt them so that they understand my snarky, bitchy nature. Otherwise, it tries to de-snark me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, say fuck in context, in appropriate ways, where it always actually enhances and is an adjective.
It's the greatest word invented.
It's the greatest word invented. And I'm not going to not say it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to not print it, which is funny, though, because I catch myself on social media. I don't say it. I will say, F star. Like, I don't actually swear in real life in writing, but I do in real life speak it. And so that it ends up somehow in my book. And I was like, should I go back and fix that? Because I mean, I'm like, how many times did I say the word fuck? Okay, well, it's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's
Could be worse.
less than once a chapter. I'm good.
Well, as long as it's not gratuitous.
It's not gratuitous.
Yeah,
it's
right.
always in context.
Yeah.
And half of those actually were quotes. So they weren't even my quotes. But that's my point. So, you have to know who you are so that when you avail yourself of these tools, your voice does not get lost. And part of this whole process and the branding process that I take people through is like, really, who are you? Like, how do you want people to feel? Like, I have this whole thing. I used to do this when I was in the esoterica, right? Like, from stage, I have gotten people to not get divorced. I've gotten people to get divorced and find their future mate in that same moment. Like, all these things, right? And it's really, who do you want to surround yourself with? And really recognizing that, circling that. Who do you not? And it's personality traits. It's these features that come with these people that sometimes you realize you've been tolerating, and it's really dragging you down, and it's not in your own best interest to allow it to continue. But for one reason or another, you have, and
nostalgia, sentimentality.
You violated your boundaries, which then actually lowers your vibration to the point where you're not going to be as successful as you could be if you literally just held clear boundaries, right? And so you cross out the ones that you don't want. And what was interesting is one person realized everything she crossed out was embodied in her husband sitting next to her, and everything that she wanted was embodied in her business partner's brother, who was sitting at the end of the table. They are now married.
That's called a love thing.
And have been married 4 years now. And in another instance, I had a guy at my event, and I told him we were going to do this exercise the next day. He goes, "Can I bring my wife tomorrow?" And I said, "Absolutely." He's my plumber. I love him. He's so cool. And I didn't know it, but they have a special needs child, and they had 3 kids. And so they go through this exercise and they compare notes. What do you really want? Like, really, what do you want? And they compared notes after they did the exercise, and what they realized was they both wanted the same things. And so little did I know, they had acquired their divorce papers on Friday and did not file them.
Wow.
So
just by having a conversation.
You
being honest.
You put everything into this exercise process. It makes it so much less emotionally
not as intense.
Yeah. Like, it's not like you're not being you're not being interrogated. It's self-discovery.
And you're not having to talk directly to the person either.
Correct.
So there's no accusational feelings. There's no you this, I that, I feel you.
And that's higher level things where you have to keep everything I statements. And let me tell you, that is hard to keep up.
Jesus, that's hard.
It's so hard.
Especially when they really fucked up.
That is a level of control that I frequently am not caffeinated enough to execute, which is why I tell everybody, I had to fix my body so I could have coffee, because I don't like felonies.
I was able to ditch caffeine. I can't give up coffee. I have to have my decaf, and I will not give up half and half.
Yeah, thank you. Even when I was dairy-free, I still put butter and creamer.
Yep.
Because it was just such. I didn't drink a glass of milk. I haven't drank a glass of milk.
No.
I can't do it.
No.
So anyway, okay. So once you've gotten to you've got your stories, you've got your outline, you've got everything in there. You're using your AI tools to help you with the copy to make sure that it's good. Then I use a tool, if it's just a basic book, right? A book you're going to read. So it doesn't have a lot of pictures, a lot of diagrams, a lot of everything. The best tool that I've ever found to format the interior of your book is called Vellum, Vellum. And so I have a publishing company, so I have a publisher's license for that, so I can just make as many as I want. But that was like the hardest part, was formatting the darn book and knowing how many pages it was so that I could calculate the side spine, and then doing all those little things will trip you up.
Yeah.
And you can't do them until you're done.
Right.
You have to actually be all the way done before you can actually do those steps.
Where just you upload PDF.
No, you
finished.
you paste the words in. And you pick the format that you want, and it gives you an EPUB, an Apple book, a Mobi, and a PDF interior, Kindle.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it gives you everything that you need in all the different formats all at once, which is great, which makes it instantly readable on Kindle, which is fabulous. Oh, and here's my other little tricky, you guys. Here's a little super secret. If you are someone who does live events, if you are in that esoterica space, if you are a motivational speaker, if you are a motivational coach and you do not have a book yet, let me just tell you, the most fabulous thing I ever did was I took all of my VIPs and I gave them all Kindles. And when you update your Kindle book, it goes to the top of the list.
Oh, nice.
So I was always at the top of the list. So I'm just saying, there's lots of things you can do. Always updated. In the Kindle, you can also have clickable links, which then will take them to offers. You can get opt-ins. You definitely want to have a call to action page. Download these worksheets, download this. That's a whole promotion thing. We could do 10 hours. I've literally taught like week-long classes on all this stuff. And when I say I can rip a book out of Cal in 3 hours, I literally can. And we should do it live so we can show everybody.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because
and
it is
video record it too.
We should video record it and I'll screen capture it, and then I'll put the little thingy on there so it'll take the SOPs, right? Because I do it, the way I do it is very different than the way everybody else does it, right?
And I'm sure I'm going to want your way far more than
my way's easier.
I think probably one of the reasons I haven't considered it is because of that way. I know how all that is, and I'm not interested.
Right. And so the way I do it is, I mean, it's a little harder, it's a little longer, but the reason that I do it that way is because I really want those stories. You know, it's like a two-parter. When I first get a client and they want to do a book, I literally do a deep dive. I just have a 3-hour, and maybe once or twice I have a 3-hour deep dive, and I want to know who they are. I want to know their life. I want to know this. I want to know that. I want to know what is the purpose? Why do you want this? What is the outcome that you expect to get? What would a win look like? You know, what would, and then we got to figure out, what are you selling, right? Are you going to have a membership? Are you going to have a course? Are you going to have an elite high ticket item? Like, are you going to sell something, or are you literally just going to be J.K. Rowling? And is your stuff that good? Right? So if it's nonfiction, you really want to have the book be your better business card and upsell to something else. If it's fiction, you need to think in terms of movie rights, television series, and multimedia. It's called a multi-platform, international multi-platform. Like, think Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a movie, it's a book, it's a ride, it's merch, it's right. So if you're going to have a fictional book, you need to think in that arena. If you're going to have a nonfiction book, you need to think in the arena of client getting. I've worn everybody out for today.
Heck no, Miss Adryenn, you didn't wear anybody out. You had some great information, just a wealth of knowledge. And so we appreciate you coming on. Hey, this is G-Man. Thank you to World Matters Incorporated, Big Bongo Productions, the creator of the show. And we're going to be back next time with What's the Matter with Windows? And that's going to be a little tease. So this is the G-Man. Talk to you later. See ya.